All right, next question. How involved should I be as a parent in my student's application? More involved than you might think in strategy and less involved than you're probably tempted to be in execution. Let me break those apart. On the strategy side, parents absolutely should be involved, understanding the framework, knowing what the application needs to accomplish, having a view on the school list, making sure the timeline is being executed. All of that is appropriate and important parental engagement. This is a major decision with major financial and life implications for your child, so you're entitled to have a view. On the execution side, the essays, the activity descriptions, the application itself, the goal is to get your fingerprints off of it as much as possible. Not because your input isn't valuable, but because the application has to sound like your student. An application that sounds like it was managed by a highly organized parent is actually a weaker application than one that sounds like a slightly imperfect 17-year-old with a genuine story to tell. The most damaging pattern I see in parent involvement is, and I see this constantly, is parents who are so invested in the outcome that they start making the application about their own anxiety rather than their student's authentic voice. They might even edit the essays, until the essay sounds polished and adult. They push for schools that represent their own aspirations rather than their students' fit. They add activities to the list that their student doesn't actually care about, but the parents think that it will look good. So here's the reframe I offer parents. Your job is to build the conditions in which your student can do their best work. Build that environment. That means creating the time, reducing the stress, asking good questions, and then getting out of the way. A student who owns their application, who can speak to every word on it in an interview, is a much more compelling applicant than the student whose parents built it for them. Now, the one place where more parent involvement is always warranted is the strategy conversation. But in those discussions, you want to be in those discussions. Know what's being built. Ask the hard questions. Just, don't be the one writing the essays. The best thing a parent can do for their student's application is exactly what you're doing right now, investing time in understanding the process deeply enough to ask good questions and support smart decisions. That's the kind of involvement that helps. Everything else is noise.